today is getting everyone to sit down by 12:15. So we've done that. I won't begin to do show-downs because we have so many people to recognize. How many are here for the first time for this luncheon?
There's a lot.
Peter King from CBS came all the way up from Florida. We're going to do our program in two parts today. We'll be a little somber at the beginning, and then we'll have our luncheon and then lighten things up. But we do want to take time to remember some folks that we've lost in the last year. As you remember, last year when we gathered, it was shortly after the passing of Danny Guilfoyle, who really is, I guess, the foundation of this. Barry Vee is kind of picked it up where Danny left off, and I'm kind of the executive secretary, I guess, collecting your money and sending out the bonuses. But we do want to take time here to remember some of the people we've lost to very, very recently. And Joe, we're going to have Joe Nalonigo come up and talk about the first two names that we wanted to share time with.
Oh, our friend Matty. Matt Basile passed away after a battle with pancreatic cancer in February of this year. Matt came to Rochester from, Boomer, help me out here. Somewhere around Martha's Vineyard. Martha's Vineyard. Came here for WMAX. Was actually working with the Max for a bit. Transitioned from being an on-air person to being a promotions person when I first took over as promotions director WHAM in 1997. Matt was already promotions director for what was WVOR 100.5, and I learned everything I needed to learn about doing promotions from Matty. He would leave us, work for Finger Lakes Gaming and Racetrack, work for Rochester Broadway Theater League, work for Trillium Health, come back to us, work for a little bit more, go away again. Matt kind of had a nomadic lifestyle, but we remember him as one of our dear friends and one of my dear friends that I got a chance to spend a lot of time with over my 30 years. The inevitable Mike Morgan. Mike, news director for WHAM in the late 60s, early 70s. Where didn't he work, quite honestly, with that powerful baritone voice, part of the chorus of the Genesee. I ran into Mike for the very first time at the end of his career. I don't know how many people know that he spent time down at WYSL, Bob Savage's station, Radio 1030 at the time. I was a recent college graduate in 1993, and Mike was doing mornings down at YSL, so that's where I met him. So that's where I got to know where if somebody asks you how you are, you say, "I'm nice," because that's what Mike would say. And gentlemen, if you want to announce that you're going to go and shave, you will stand in the room and go, "I go scrape the face," and we'll walk into the bathroom, which Mike would do on a regular basis after his last newscast. I've never seen somebody, now I had the misfortune of having to wake Mike up some days because he was kind of at the, he was at the end of his career, and sometimes I'd have to call his wife Kath and say, "Please wake Mike up and send him because he's got a newscast to do in 30 minutes, he's not here." And he had to travel in. And I've never seen anybody come in, sit down at a mic, close the door as to what was a closet in a modular home at WYSL, crack a mic, and without a script, deliver a 5-minute newscast. Never seen anyone do it like him before. Mike passed away earlier this year at the age of 96.
I want to take a moment to remember Allan Harris. When I look at this picture, 2 words come to mind, and we used to laugh at the way he would say Rochester and Monroe County. And it never varied from that for his whole career. We knew him, of course, from Channel 13, where we were not only co-workers, but family friends. Our children, Mary and Allan and Allison, their children were pretty much the same age, so we did spend some time together. And we want to take time today to remember Allan Harris.
Hello, and wish the fine people and all my great friends at Channel 13 a very happy 50th anniversary.
And a little bit of his work as well.
The best way to get to Marketplace Mall today was in a helicopter. It was jammed. It was also bumper to bumper at the 2 malls on Ridge Road in Greece. And the same scene was repeated at Eastview Mall in Ontario County. And of course, the big-name department stores are ready for the crowds of shoppers.
We're very optimistic about Christmas. Just today has been great. It started out very strong, and it's just been building all day long.
The expected 6 to 8% increase in sales wouldn't be possible without the shopper. Some who haven't even bought any presents yet.
Haven't even started. You gonna pick some stuff up today? Oh, possibly.
Retailers are very optimistic. They expect this to be a very Merry Christmas indeed. Over the last few years, the economy has been on an upswing, but they won't really know how good it has been until next January, when the final figures are in. Allan Harris, WOKR News.
And of course, all too recently, Jack Palvino, who I think probably was one of the founding members of this. Nick Nixon brought the radio group together years ago when this luncheon was probably 8 to 12 people. Began as radio old timers, and we've kind of grown it from there. And we wanted to take time to remember Jack. I had the pleasure of being in New York City when he was inducted into the New York State Broadcasters Hall of Fame. And we wanted to share with you that story because it shares not only a little bit of Jack's perspective, but others as well. 10 years ago, and Rochester members also include Brother Weeze, Arnold Klinsky, and Senator Rich Funky. Jack Palvino was recognized for his role as a radio broadcast pioneer, from his days as a disc jockey at WBBF to his formation of the Lincoln Group with friends Ed Musicus and Bud Wertheimer, who was inducted in 2007.
Jack was one of 5 new members inducted today, including NBC's Al Roker, a distinguished group indeed.
And it's a real high point in my 40-year broadcasting career. It's something that'll stay with me for a long time, and I'm very humbled to be joining such an elite list of broadcasters over the years, from Walter Cronkite, Regis Philbin. I'm really very, very pleased.
For Jack Palvino and his family, another day to remember and cherish. And for the Rochester community, another Hall of Famer to make us all proud. This is Don Alhart reporting from New York City.
Because before Jack's passing, we had already thought it might be interesting to have a purpose for this luncheon every year, and maybe name a Rochester Media icon. We came up with an idea at the kind of the last moment, put it together and said, wouldn't it be nice to have a plaque? We don't want to give plaques to everyone, we all have enough of those probably. But one plaque that could be somewhere in our city, and we could add a name each year to somebody in the media who has made an impact. And we quickly approached Arnie, and I'll let Arnie come up and tell that story now. Arnie Rothschild.
Hi. So one of the difficulties about this event over the last couple of years, and Don mentioned it, we lost Danny Guilfoyle. Before that, Kevin Meath died in a car crash. So many people, now Jack Palvino and Allan Harris, so many people, wonderful people like all of you in the room. And consolidation was not good for almost anyone in this room. The industry has become very difficult. And one of the failings, if you will, of the Rochester media community is there's no place to celebrate the hard work that all of you have done, the great work that you've done, the way that you have informed, entertained, and been a friend to so many people. So in our conversations, strangely in this community, most people don't even know that I came from radio here. They think that I'm a theater guy with the Rochester Broadway Theater League. My first job in the media business, and by the way, I was hired by Bud Wertheimer when I got out of college in 1969. And then I went on to Channel 5 in Syracuse, long before I came to Rochester. By the way, Peter King was across the street at WHEN Radio when I was at WSYR in Syracuse. But we need a place to celebrate who you all are. And as you know, we're restoring an additional 200,000 square feet of the old Masonic complex that you know as the Auditorium Theater, now called the Rocehter Auditorium Theater and Performing Arts Center. And so in our conversations, we're going to create a space where we can celebrate you before you pass away. let me just tell you that over 200,000 people a year will come through that complex. And it should be the signature of not only entertainment and the arts, but also a celebration of the media people who have allowed this community to become one of the great arts, entertainment cities in the entire Northeast. So with that, we would be honored to just give space to the organization to recognize in whatever way you choose to do it, with how many people you choose to do on an annual basis. We'll just expand whatever the space, but that will be Rochester Broadway Theater League's contribution to say thank you to all of you who have done so much for our community. So thank you.
Thank you. Looking around the room and looking in the mirror, we may want to put 25, 30 names on there. This is the first part of our program. You want to preview what's coming up here, or you want to keep that a secret?
No, I want to hang out.
All right, so we're going to take you back in time. I think this worked out very well. I think we had time to remember, we had time to celebrate a wonderful offering from the Broadway Theater League, and a chance to now share the fellowship. I know Katie is somewhere in the background. We'll be calling you table by table. I told her this is a broadcasting media group, so we don't want anyone rushing up for the buffet at once. So please wait for Katie. Please wait for Katie or Karen to call your table, and we'll be back shortly. And Barry and Joe will pick up the program when you come back.
Also, I want to do is say thank you, welcome, mingle, enjoy. We'll have a little fun afterwards. And hopefully before the end of the day, I was just talking to Don, we'll see if we can have a date for next year. It seems to work well with the online registration and all those that do that. We'll continue that. And if anybody has any questions at any time, I'm very accessible. Thank you. Enjoy yourselves.
And here is Katie to escort you to the buffet line. Very excited.
If you could, I would appreciate a round of applause for Don and Joel. They really helped make this happen. So as I was preparing this program for today, I was focusing on the middle 70s. Anybody who was working in radio and TV in the middle 70s, give me a hand. Well, there's a few. Middle 30s? So I had asked a bunch of folks for some photos, and I wanted photos from the 70s. And then I realized that many in this room were not around in the 70s. So I had to change the focus a little bit, but hopefully you will enjoy as we go along. And there's a few memories to go along with it. So one of the focuses is looking back on the 70s in general. I'm new at this PowerPoint thing. I want to remember it. There we go. How's all this from the 70s? Look at that radio control room in the upper right-hand corner. Looks familiar, huh, Bob Scott? All right, now comes the fun part. Do you know this young lad right here?
Kano!
Kano! He hasn't changed a bit, has he? All right, how about this young fella? He was working for WROC Radio and TV back in 1970s.
Still have a dimple?
He still has a dimple. And this young man has created quite a business. He worked for WMAX in the beginning of his career.
Oh, Boomer!
Boomer! A few more things for you to remember from the 70s. How many of you had one of these? Next round of pictures. This guy joined us from a faraway place. And this is his college photo from 1974. Oh, this young lady, you know who she is. Unmistakable. So she sends me the photo, and she says, you know, every one of my pictures, I've got my mouth open.
All a coincidence.
And this young fellow wasn't born yet in 74, but he's gone on to do quite a career in TV anchoring.
Adam.
We had a pretty good year in 1974 in sports. The Red Wings won the Governor Cup. Nice. The Amherst won their division that year, but lost in the playoffs. And we had a soccer team called the Lancers. They played in the NASL. This young fellow worked at Wham overnights, but he built quite a career as an advertising voice for Bob Johnson. This young lady here, she has been inducted recently into the New York State Broadcasters Hall of Fame, and she's quite a person. This is actually fictitious. She wasn't around in 74, but we did what we could with it. Oh, this guy here. He worked for Waxy. He was quite the phone screener. How about some of the cars from the 70s? Here's my favorite.
I had one of those.
Anybody own one of these?
77 AMC, baby.
All right, now we're talking. How about this guy? He's not in the TV game anymore.
Oh my God, Redman. Look at that smile. Those morals.
This guy has a radio talk show on the weekends on Wham. Maybe you could have found a more incriminating photo. We used to have big name concerts come through here in the 70s. And the one in the lower right, or lower left, I guess for you guys. Yeah, lower left. This is 2 years before he came back here and was arrested. This particular young lady wasn't around yet, but I asked her for a photo anyways.
It's adorable.
This young fella's still on the air in Rochester.
Is that you, Barry?
Wow. More things from the 70s to see if you can remember. Now, I used to DJ at the Club 747 back when I was a much younger man. And we used to go in the bathrooms and somebody would hand us the paper towels. The matron, I believe they call them. Who is that? This guy couldn't be with us, but he was prominent in the 70s.
Larry White.
Here's some of the songs we were listening to. And over and over and over. Exactly right. I believe we were on a 45-minute rotation back then.
Jerry Jacks.
Yeah, Bee Gees were very huge in the 70s. Okay, here's the last three photos. You know this guy. But do you know this guy? Who said it? Somebody said it over here.
J-Lo?
J-Lo!
Prince Valiant hairstyle.
And how about this guy? I'll tell you, he was quite the man. That is my presentation, ladies and gentlemen. If you, how many in the room use social media, particularly Facebook? I will have all the photos from today, the selfies, the team photos, the table photos, and any other photos that I took on Facebook. They will be accessible for you to copy, do whatever you wish. If you need to reach out to me for something in particular, if you're not a user of social media, it is my name at Gmail, the email, and I'll be more than happy to accommodate you whatever way I can. And I would prefer, and I'm sure Don and Jolo would do the same, would prefer that we have a personal email address. So if you leave the company, you separate for retirement or whatever, or God forbid you're let go in a corporate cutback, we have a way to get a hold of you. We want to, this is, by the way, give yourselves a nice round of applause, another record crowd this year. We have 92 registered for today. Last year was 91. I'd love to see it in the 90s every year. And you can make that happen. So certainly let's communicate. We'll be happy to do that. Joe?
Yes, thanks, Barry. Just a couple of bits of housekeeping. We did have 92 people here, but I know that there are some of our colleagues who are not here. If you see them, tell them how much fun we had and that they should come next year, okay? Give them Barry's address, get on the mailing list. We would really like to see as many of our friends and colleagues as we can. We don't get in the same room or see each other as often as we should, and this is a wonderful opportunity to do that. That's number one. Number two, we did photos this year. I would love to do air checks at some point. If you all got them from your earliest days is what I'm really looking for. But whatever you might have, cassette, reel-to-reel, CD, whatever, reach out to me. I would like your air checks, okay? So that's another bit of housekeeping that we would like to do. Yeah, wax cylinder, Alhart, is that what you got? Look, he always wanted to be in radio. He suffered through TV for 58 years. So if you got air checks, reach out to me. We'd love to do something for next year. The third thing has nothing to do with us, but it's something that I got involved in. And if any of you have done college radio, there is a podcast that I would encourage you to check out. It has nothing to do with me, has nothing to do with our gathering. It's called 35,000 Watts, the story of college radio. They are actively collecting stories from people who got their start doing college radio. No matter what you moved on to later on, they would like to curate as many stories as they can as part of their overall project that they're doing. So you can reach out, you can look for 35,000 Watts. It's a film and a podcast. You can reach out to them online if you have a story about college radio you would like to share. And that'd be also a great way to get our folks from Rochester out and get our stories out as well. Don, you want to put a cap on this?
One more thing.
Tell them how to spell your name.
I just want to apologize to anybody's photos I did not get to. We'll do it again in the future, and I'll make sure I get them from you. Thank you.
And one more. Now, Katie is going to take a group photos, and we're going to assemble probably somewhere. It was on the window in the background. I had this thought too, and I think it was within the past year. Bill Artis Against the Night. We lost him as well. Bill Artis Against the Night, was on Lamb for many, many years, and I think that's within that last year. I just happened to think of that when we were sitting there. December 11th.
December 11th.
2025, we'll see
Put
you.
your phone now.
And we will assemble where Katie tells us to go. So we want to. Yep, we can. Yep, come on up.
Come on up, Jay.
Come on up.
Come on up.
We have a, yeah.
Is the mic on? I just wanted to say thank you to you guys for planning this each year, for doing all of the things. We know a lot goes on when you plan something like this. So on behalf of all of us, thank you.
We will take that commemorative photo, and framed prints will be available at a slight charge. Katie, where do you want us?
Over here?
So, yeah, we'll over there. We'll put some chairs in the front for some folks. So.
Those, especially the taller ones in the back row, Andy, and a few others that are taller, and make sure that your faces are able to come through. Joel, I'm not seeing you too well. Chris. I got a couple ladies in the back I can't see at all. We're good here. I need you, Peter, squeeze in somewhere. You want to?
We're adding a couple of chairs in the back, so if people want to stand on the chair.
Anybody that wouldn't mind kneeling down front, feel free.
Somebody help me out here.
That's brilliant.
We're also, we've kept a video.
We've kept the video during the entire meeting, so we're all looking good.
Just like this.
Actually, right now, that's good. I tell you what, when Katie gets done, we're gonna have her step out of the way because we've got a great capture every video here. That looks good.
You guys gotta get enjoy the crowd.
I am waiting for you.
Barry, get in the picture.
I will get in there in a minute. We will be sending this video link out to you a couple, 3 weeks from now, so you can see we taped the whole thing. So, yeah. And those photos that were up on the screen, we've got them.
Hey, Barry, you just mentioned we want to do a Time Warner.
This is good.
After this also.
What?
Our new Time Warner, if everybody.
Our News Time Warner. Whoa. Wow.
That looks good. Look at that.
All right, let's get the photo.
I don't know if I'll be able to get up, but we'll see.
I may not either. I'm gonna grab a chair.
Need help? Yeah, you sit on the end. A little closer. weather. Woo!